Hello, welcome everyone to another episode of the Virtual Ninja Show. My name is Heike, and actually, this is today our second part. We did the first part with Corina already on empowering the SOC with a lot of AI capabilities built into the Defender with Security Copilot. Today, Corina, we are going to talk about agents, but before we do so, please introduce yourself.
I'm introducing myself again. Hi, Heike. Hi,
Yes.
everyone. I'm Corina Feuerstein. I'm a product manager in Microsoft Security. And my job for the last 2 years or so has been to create all these myself and my team, create all these amazing Security Copilot capabilities for Microsoft Defender. And I'm excited to talk today about agents.
Yes. So for everyone who wants to learn more about the built-in, what we call the skills that are part of the Microsoft Defender portal, they can go watch our first part of it. And today we are going to focus on 3 agents that we would like to discuss and show in action. Some of them are in preview, some of them are already in GA, so general available. And let's actually discuss this slide for a minute again for those that didn't watch the first episode.
Right. So just kind of to ground ourselves where we are at, we can use a minute to go over this slide to talk about our journey in AI from the very left part where we didn't have any of these amazing AI tech just yet. And the analysts were doing a lot of the work manually with some help from automation, but mostly manually, to an assistive world where we started harnessing AI to assist the analysts in their daily tasks in a like do it with me type of mode. This is what we talked about in the previous episode, where you have Security Copilot as an assistant in the embedded experience in the portal, bringing insights and assistance at every type of task. And now we have AI agents actually come along. And AI agents are really where we start moving towards an autonomous SOC, where we have agents pick up some of these tasks and actually take the wheel and drive. Basically, they will do these tasks or initiate them and run them. And of course, the SOC analysts remain in the picture. They have to kind of oversee this work, actually define it, help tune it, provide feedback and input customizations potentially to these agents. But the promise here is really that we are scaling out enormously in terms of capacity, in terms of the ability to just do more of this work, maybe do it more in depth than we can today, and kind of really alleviate the biggest problem in this space, which is people just drowning in work. And especially, I think I mentioned also last time that we are seeing more and more use of AI and AI agents actually in attacks. So attackers are using AI and AI agents to automate and to have basically, entire attacks being executed autonomously. And so we have to respond with the same level of capabilities in defense, or
Absolutely.
we will just be behind.
So thank you for going over this slide again. And let's actually have a look at, I would say, the first one, which is the threat intelligence briefing agent.
No, actually, I think we're starting from alert triage.
Oh, okay. We can go with that one too.
Yeah, we will. Only reason, Heike, is because I want to remind folks about the phishing triage agent, which is actually now already in GA. I think a lot of people were really excited about our first agent, AI agent in Defender.
It's the hero. Everybody loves the phishing triage agent.
One.
Yes.
I know. So, I mean, really, it resonates quite a bit with customers. We are seeing a lot of really good adoption because this is really handling a very big problem for SOC teams
but also a repetitive thing. Like, how annoying is fish in all of this? And then,
Oh yeah,
yes, having someone not getting gray hair of like triaging all these alerts. It's the
that's right.
agent. It's just good. Yes.
That's right. That's right. And I just want to remind folks about the advantages of agentic flows as opposed to like automation. I think we talked about it in the past, but it's really about three things that I think are, we're seeing them really resonate also with the fish triage agent. One is certainly the use of LLMs and advanced AI to apply in various different tasks, and certainly in fish triage, it's very, applicable because we're talking about emails and images and content. But then there's a couple more advantages. One is that agents are not pre-coded. There is no, pre-coding like you do in automation, where if something slightly changes, now you have to change that automation or have various variations of it. Agents are basically creating their workflows on the fly based on the description of the problem, the case in hand, and the tools that they have. So that's something important to remember. And this is also what allows us now to scale out from fish triage to doing other types of alerts. And that's what we're going to talk about next. And maybe just to mention the last advantage is that they can also adapt. So by giving the agent feedback about where it was right, where it was wrong, where it did things correctly or not. And the feedback can be actually in text, right? Like you would speak to a colleague that you're trying to train. And this is also a capability we have in the triage agent. You are basically helping it get better and also adapt to your environment if you want it to do things slightly different.
And I think this is the same as with other prompts as well, right? So be as descriptive as possible when you give that feedback, not just like less this, more this, like
Exactly.
describe what the problem is
Yes.
that the agent has here. Okay.
Yes, I think the key is to just be very naturally providing that feedback, just like you would imagine you have a colleague that you are trying to, maybe they're more junior and you're trying to help them either improve or maybe they're not junior, but they're new to the organization and they don't know exactly how things are done here. And when you explain, oh, you did this wrong, you don't just say you did it wrong. You say, and here's why, right? Like you should do it this way because such and such. So it's exactly like that. And as you provide more rich feedback, you're going to get better results going forward. So the first agent I want to talk about is basically our extension of the fish triage to start doing more types of alerts, so moving beyond fish. And here we are starting to also look at identity alerts and cloud alerts, starting with cloud containers, actually. And it's the same paradigm. Basically, the agent triggers on an alert of the type that it knows how to operate on. It runs a full end-to-end flow of investigation that is trying to determine whether this alert is true or false, and eventually provides a classification and a natural language explanation of why it arrived at that conclusion. And basically, this is again going to two things. One is reducing volumes from the queue, so taking off anything that the agent can filter out because it knows it's actually a false alarm, and leaving only the things that are truly worth time for investigation. And second, in some cases, these investigations require expertise. So especially in the cloud area, there are going to be things that the agent can help with in terms of expertise that can help analysts. So that's one agent that we're introducing. That's the extension of the fish into other types. And our goal here is eventually to get to a full alert triage.
Yeah. I was just about to ask, right? That's not the end here, identity and cloud.
Yes, exactly. And again, this goes again to the to the advantages of agentic capability is that we don't have to train it on every single type of alert, right? We only have to give it enough examples from each domain, and eventually it has all the right tools and expertise to start doing triage for all of the alerts in our queue.
Nice.
Now, yes,
the threat hunting
This
agent.
is the one that you like. So threat hunting agent is really about helping analysts go beyond. So think of it as an agent that extends the capabilities of the hunting skill that we have had in the natural language to KQL skill. So initially we started it as an assistive feature where you can ask it to generate a query for you and it would do that. And now we're actually making this into an entire agent workflow that is conversational. So you as a analyst can actually converse with it in natural language for a full hunt session, right? And it's really like vibe hunting is what we like to call it. I know some people like that term. Some people think maybe not. But
I love it.
For those that do, it's really about just expressing your intent, what you want to do next, how you want to hunt for this threat. And analysts can do these like full investigations just in natural language and leave it to the agent to speak KQL, run the right queries, analyze the results, summarize them, and bring in, highlights and insights and so on. And then even guide the analyst through kind of like the entire hunting flow.
So it's a hunting buddy?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, right. The hunting buddy. Maybe we change the name for it. I think that's a really nice name.
It's a change to agent. I like it. It's like, something different.
Yeah, for sure. So the last agent I want to introduce to you is the dynamic threat detection agent. And this is a first in its category because it's really more of what we would call a system agent. So what the activity that it performs is really like adding new detections. And think about it. So we saw kind of different flavors of agents today. We talked about an alert triage agent, which does autonomously triage, basically goes and does the activity of triage, which is a task that SOC analysts normally do. Then we had your hunting buddy, which is very interactive, right? It's an assistant type agent. And here we have a threat detection agent that goes into the incident, understands it, gets all the related telemetry around it, and raises more alerts in this incident to make it richer. And it does that using advanced AI, and we'll see it also in practice.
So, but it's not that it's raising alerts that have been missed by us that we didn't raise.
No. So if you think about it, what it does is it raises alerts contextually. So when you try to detect something, there are some activities that are sufficiently suspect by themselves that you can, with pretty good confidence, say, this thing smells really bad. I should make an alert for it. But there are other activities that by themselves, they are not suspicious enough. So it's if you would raise alerts for them, you would just make a lot of noise. But if you can look at one alert and in an incident, or a couple of alerts in an incident, and then bring all the activity related to that and say, okay, now I can actually incriminate by association, right?
So it's an alert in context.
Exactly, yes. So I know that there's some bad activity here, and I can see related activity that, around it, that's bad too, right? So now I have a much better case for raising alerts contextually. Now, this is done by the correlation engine in Defender also. So this is how we actually correlate alerts into incidents, or some of them contextually. But here we're doing actually this with a more powerful tool that is using generative AI or advanced AI capabilities to do it. So, and it'll do it proactively, investigate the incident and the telemetry, and generate new alerts on the fly.
So let's have a look at them in action, Corina.
Yes. Thank you for asking that. All right. So let's look at these agents in action. And we have a kind of like an end-to-end investigation scenario here where we can see some of these agents really in action. So actually, we're starting this scenario from the threat intelligence section in Defender. And, normally an analyst would come in the morning here to learn what's new. And folks might remember, we didn't talk about this here earlier, but we have a threat intelligence briefing agent that we already released, which is here to create an automated executive or like a summary of what's going on in your threat landscape. Every day, you'll get a fresh summary of the latest threats and vulnerabilities, especially the ones that are most relevant for you. So it knows the organization's general interests and generates a daily report summarizing what's happening, especially for you. So it pulls from Microsoft TI. It also uses other industry sources, and it's tailored. So today, this agent highlights a new container escape vulnerability. We know in our organization, we use cloud containers everywhere. So we definitely need to learn more about, this thing. How can we learn more about it? Let's go
What's
to
your
advanced
hunting buddy?
Exactly. I'm going to use my hunting buddy. So I'm going to go to advanced hunting. And here you'll see on the right, we already have our upgraded experience here with the threat hunting agent. And we can just ask it things about this threat. So I can simply ask a question like, am I affected by the container escape vulnerability in RunC? And what the agent does is it immediately connects the context from that TI briefing agent and starts generating a KQL query to search for any activities based on this vulnerability that we're talking about.
It's getting the queries out of the threat analytics reports, or it's actually creating it itself?
It could do that too.
Okay.
But here it's actually generating a query based on your ask. Because you asked about this CVE, it knows how to generate the right KQL to query for that. It then does a few steps autonomously. So it takes that query that it generated, it plugs it into the hunting, it actually executes it, and it delivers the results at the bottom, as you can see. And then it also creates a natural language summary of the results on the right that is clear to understand. So you don't have to sift through, hundreds of lines of or hopefully there's not hundreds because it's a vulnerability, but however many lines of results that you found, you can get a nice summary that tells you what's your state around this vulnerability. For example, we did find an incident in your environment related to this vulnerability, and it tells you a little bit about what's going on in this incident. So this confirms there's actually active incident linked to the vulnerability. And now it also recommends maybe next hunting steps that you might want to take. Maybe...
It doesn't recommend guided response activities. It could say, hey.
Yeah, not yet, because here
Okay.
we're still hunting.
Okay,
right?
good.
If you go to that, but that's a good question, Heike, as always, because it did find an incident. And when you do go to that incident to investigate that specific occurrence, you are going to get guided response recommendations, including maybe SOP-based ones that we had before, to how to deal with this incident. But here we want to focus on the threat hunting capability. So again, summary on the right, and you can also see some additional enrichments or insights that Copilot provided here, or the agent provided here, about the results. So it'll tell you, for example, some observations about the results. There's multiple alerts, all of them reference this thing, some visualization of the results, broken down into severities in this case. So there's going to be some smart insights coming along with it. And now I can also review the details of the related alert here, or I can go to my incident, like we said before, for further investigation, and we'll come back to the hunting in a second. Going to that incident, now we can see there was the triage agent that we talked about, the alert triage agent, already autonomously classified multiple alerts in this incident. So we know that this is actually a true positive, not only because it somehow seemed to match that vulnerability, but also because the triage agent classified it, investigated, and found that this is a true attack using that vulnerability.
Help me quickly understand. I thought the triage agent is going to investigate alerts that have a certain, I don't know, description, title, classification. Or is it also classifying and doing more with an alert than just investigating it?
So first of all, it will pick up the alerts from the incident that it knows how to triage. So it won't triage everything just yet,
No.
but
Okay.
it will pick up some of the types. Here, what you see on the right is sort of a summary of all the alerts that it triaged in this incident and kind of the results. So you can see it ran on 2 out of 5 alerts and determined the classification. And we can see the details in a second.
It's so cool that it's also embedded in that experience and not, I thought, like, you go into your, I don't know, alert queue or like in the incident and then you see it, but it brings itself back into the picture, everybody wants to be there.
Exactly. And actually, if you like, the way to think about this is this triage card is a guided response triage task, basically, right? So guided response put a task here that said, oh, you should first triage this incident. And oftentimes it would have recommendations for how to do that. But here you have an agent that does that. So instead of a recommendation, it becomes basically a task that was already performed by your agent. You don't need to perform it manually. And you asked about the classification. So triage means that when the agent comes to a conclusion and it has high accuracy or high confidence in that conclusion, it actually sets the classification of the alert. And if the classification is false positive, like it's wrong, it'll also resolve that alert. So that's how you get alerts and incidents that are false positives automatically removed from your queue.
That's so
you
cool.
don't want to see them anymore. But here you can see the details. So this specific incident had actually 2 types of alerts, one around cloud containers and one around identities. Both were automatically classified by the alert triage agent. They both came out as true positives, and there is a nice natural language explanation that tells you exactly why. And this is really important because people don't like just to be told facts without explanations, right? So if an AI agent thinks this is true, why should I trust it? So the explanation is here to build trust, for you to see that there's reasoning that happened here and there's justification and evidence for why this was classified as such. And we actually don't want people to have to go in and look at these details every time, right? But it's there, and we see the trend where folks go in for some samples when they're happy with the results and they see that it's quite consistently right, they just start to trust it. First of all, I want to show you that you can also drill in even deeper. You can see for every one of these alert triage flows exactly what the agent did. But now we see that this was actually true positive. We want to go back to the threat hunting agent to continue the investigation a little bit. So when we go back to hunting, we now can do some free form hunting, right? So again, in natural language. So for example, the next thing I want to do here is I want to understand the blast radius of this now confirmed malicious activity. So I'm going to ask the threat hunting agent, my buddy, which assets are associated with these alerts. So I know which assets are impacted. And it's going to think for a little bit, and then it's going to do the same thing again as before. Generate the query to answer my question, run it, get the results, summarize them, and give me the list of impacted assets in this case, and also related indicators. And you can see there's a user that was impacted here. So now I can follow up again. And actually, I can take one of the agent's suggestions. You see the suggestions here at the bottom, where it says, do you want to see more details? Do you want to list affected repository? Or do you want to check any anomalous signings for this user? And since let's pick that. Again here, so the suggestions are just, reasonable follow-up questions in the hunt, which is the thing by itself because it helps the hunter along. And also you don't have to type the question, of course. And here we see again the next step. Now we're getting the agent found all the sign-ins and shows us not only the summary and the list of results, but also plotted them in a graph for easy review. So now we can clearly see an anomalous spike in the sign-ins on that day when the incident happened. It also breaks down why these signings are suspicious. You can see the observations here, unusual location, uncommon apps, access patterns, and so on. So
this has so nicely evolved over time, Corina, with all the visuals. Like, when I remember at the beginning,
it was just
you had
tables,
your
right?
results,
Tables and tables.
But this is so nice. So is this the summary is also Copilot feature, right?
Yes. So the summary on the right is Copilot, and also the insights, the observations, and even the plotting. It's all done with Copilot, right? So here, at this point in our story, it's obvious this user account is compromised. We need to take some action, and that's where we can go and do that. And actually, we can even eventually ask that of right here in the chat for Copilot to help us with that action as well.
Wow.
So this is like a complex end-to-end investigation. Could have taken hours. We really only vibed through it basically with questions and answers, right?
Yes. So thank you for showing all of this in action, Corina. I want to bring in something that we announced a couple of weeks ago. I don't know exactly, but for all the agents, customers can actually now use Entra ID agent in the Defender portal. So it is running as an Entra agent ID.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. So yes, so our agents now support Entra Agent ID. Especially those that run autonomously, it's important for them because you want to be able to track exactly what they're doing and so on. For example, for the Fish agent, originally, we only supported a user account that it could run under, and that was could have been a problem for some of our customers. Some adopted it like that, and some couldn't. So now, for those that have not started using agents anymore, there's no more excuses. The point being that you can now use Entra Agent IDs, and it's really simple. When you set up the agent, the Entra Agent ID is generated for you. Every agent gets its own ID. So you don't have to go to Entra or do anything. It's all in line in the setup. And all you need to do is assign that identity to the correct role in Defender so that it gets the right permissions. It will even list the roles that have the permissions that it needs. Yes. And you can either choose one that you already have. Let's say for the triage agent, you might have a role that is for your tier 1 analysts that do your triage. So the most recommended way to configure it is just put that agent ID in that same group, in that same role. Or if you don't have them and you want to have a custom role defined for the agent, there's also just a button for doing that. So those are options you have there.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on this as well. So, Corina, thank you for these 2 episodes. It was, as usual, a pleasure to have you on the show with always these exciting topics. I know where you are, so I will bring you back. I know that you and your team are cooking on many more things, but for now...
We're going to surprise you next time again.
Yes. So for now, thank you so much, and thanks everyone for watching. Bye.